this incredible Cowboys Super Bowl drought. The arc of Jerry Jones' tenure as the owner of the Dallas Cowboys dates back to 1989. Now, at this point in time, America's team, the aura was fading. Cracks in the facade of Tom Landry's incredible 25-year run as the leader of the Cowboys. Dallas had hit its stride, hit its peak in the 70s, won a Super Bowl in 1971, won another one in 1977, had gone to two others, losing against the Steelers in those years in the 1970s in between the two. And so, or around the same era, really. So between 71 and 78, they go to 4 Super Bowls. They win 2 of them. And even into the 80s, they are a contender. Tony Dorsett, Randy White, Too Tall Jones. They're very, very good. They're making the playoffs, but just not getting all the way to a Super Bowl. They end up losing 3 consecutive NFC championship games, 80, 81, and 82. But by the time we get into the late 80s, Tom Landry is clearly, his best days are behind him, and they have now kind of cratered with losing seasons. And so Jerry takes over and wants to clean house. He wants to push out Tom Landry. At the time, seen as crass, seen as insensitive to the legend, but such is life. Jerry does it. He bought his team. He wants his guy. And his former collegiate teammate, Jimmy Johnson, is installed after being the head coach in Miami, winning national championships, as the guy to bring back the Cowboys. And he does. The Cowboys go from 1-15 in 1989 after trading away Herschel Walker. They then slowly build through the draft, really quickly build through the draft. And by 1992, they are Super Bowl champions. They win again in 1993 with Jimmy Johnson. Johnson and Jerry Jones have friction. Johnson is pushed out. Jerry says, I can win without Jimmy. I can win with anybody. I'll bring in my other friend, Barry Switzer, and prove it to you. In 95, the Cowboys win a 3rd Super Bowl in 4 seasons with Switzer at the helm. And then it collapses upon itself because Switzer is a clown as a head coach, and they stop drafting well. And starting in 1996, it's a quick road to mediocrity. And since 1996, not only have the Cowboys not made a Super Bowl, they have not made an NFC championship game. So the Cowboys have not been one of the final 4 teams in the NFL since the mid-90s. We're nearly going on 30 years. Well, this stretch of 28 years of not even getting to the NFC championship game, let alone the Super Bowl, is by far the longest stretch of that in franchise history. So Jerry Jones did a sit-down interview with Newy Scruggs of Channel 5, NBC, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Newy, to his credit, asked Jerry about this drought.
This is the longest stretch in Cowboys history of this team not appearing in the Super Bowl. How personally do you take that, and what do you say to your fans?
Well, first of all, I'm shocked. I go back and I look at the zigs and the zags, and it's inexplicable to me how we've managed to avoid, if you will, the Super Bowl, or the Super Bowl game, or if you will, the championship game. So I really don't have good answers for that. Now, the only thing I've ever been able to do when I don't have the answer or I want to change things is just put your head down and go harder. I know the one that has to change it, and that's me.
This is an incredible answer. This is truly incredible and absolutely gives you some insight into the neuroses of why the Dallas Cowboys are the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, with 28 years of missing the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl, is, quote, shocked, finds it inexplicable, and uses the phrase avoid. Avoid. No, avoiding means that your target is in sight and then somehow you purposefully went astray. How could it be shocking? How could it be inexplicable when these were the hires that Jerry Jones made following Jimmy Johnson? Barry Switzer, Chan Gailey, Dave Campo. There was the Bill Parcells years. Then Wade Phillips, Jason Garrett, Mike McCarthy. You find it shocking that you have not made a Super Bowl when you have hired, following two Hall of Fame head coaches, Landry and Jimmy Johnson, Switzer, Gailey, Campo, Phillips, Garrett, McCarthy. I mean, give me a break. And what Jerry cannot admit is this is his fatal flaw, that he thinks he knows football, but he really only knows business. And for him, the best business is making all of the calls. I call the shots. That's how I got rich. I'll call the shots here, and I'll find guys that will listen to the shots. Guess when they won biggest under Jerry? When the two coaches that he hired didn't listen to his shots and called their own, Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells. Everybody else was yes men. Everybody else fell into line. Only Jimmy and Parcells didn't, and that's when they had their best success. But Jerry can't admit that, because that would mean that Jerry would have to admit, I don't know football as well as everybody else may know football. And that is not something that equates in his mind. How do we know this? Because of his next answer about Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy gets into the Pro Football Hall of Fame last summer. And at that point in time, this rift that has been created between the two of them since he left back in 1993, now nearly 3 decades ago, has crescendoed into, well, now he's a Hall of Famer and he's still not in the Ring of Honor. The man won 2 Super Bowls for you, literally on the sideline for 2 Super Bowls, and let's also give him the third that Barry Switzer was in cruise control for at the very best. Let's give him 3 rings, and he's not in your Ring of Honor. So last year, upon getting into the Hall of Fame, Jerry Jones admits, you know what? You're right. Jimmy's going to go in. But since then, 1 year ago, there was no Ring of Honor Day last year for Jimmy, and there's no Ring of Honor Day scheduled yet for this season for Jimmy. And they have not addressed when it might happen. So you might imagine behind the scenes, Jimmy Johnson's like, I don't know what the hell is going on. And all of his former players, I'm sure, are like, what the hell is going on between Jerry and Jimmy? And why aren't you in the Ring of Honor yet? Newey Scruggs asks him this question as well.
Jerry, I like you. I respect you. But I'm going to say this. It seems very petty of what's going on between you and Jimmy from the standpoint that he's not in that Ring of Honor, because when you think about the Hall of Fame and you think about those championships, I'm just saying that's how it comes off to people. Yeah. Because there's you two together. You guys rebuilt that Cowboy dynasty that Tom Landry had. So that was to me.
Let me just, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's BS for anybody to be making anything. I've said I'm going to put him in. Now, when I put him in, and the circumstances and what I do with that, there's a lot more than Jimmy to think about here. And I've got a lot of other lives out here that have laid a lot on the line on the field that need to be in that Ring of Honor as well. And so how I do that, what I do it with, I get to make that decision, and it isn't at the end of the day all tailored around whether Jimmy's sniveling or not.
Whether Jimmy's sniveling or not. Talk about disrespect. And this is why I don't hate or dislike arrogant Cowboys fans. I really feel badly, because you will never win a Super Bowl as long as that guy's the owner. Because it's so about his own emotions and specifically his own ego. Not for nothing, but both those guys are getting old. They're both 79 going on 80. Not sure how much longer you want to wait to put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor if he's going to be 80 years old, which he looks great, by the way, for 79 going on 80. But both those guys, Jerry's looked like the Crypt Keeper for like 10 years now. Neither one of those guys is on great ground to make another 10 years or so to put him in. And this is forever a great lesson. You could have everything in the world. Jerry Jones has everything he could ever want. He's got the most valuable franchise in North American sports. He's got every private jet, every yacht, all the wealth. He had a chick on the side of his marriage, and he had a daughter that he could just pay off not to say anything. He got away with that. He can pay whatever he wants for anything in his life. He's got a family-run business that happens to be worth $7 billion, has a new stadium, has the new practice facility, has everything. He has power, he has control, he has influence. He runs so much of the league. But money cannot buy you maturity or perspective. It cannot buy you the humility needed to admit what you don't know. And so he's tortured. You think Jerry Jones has everything, but he's tortured. He's tortured because, no offense, he'll die without winning another Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson. And forever, now for 30 years, it's, I know football too. I know football as well as Jimmy. That was our Super Bowls, not his. And he's hanging the Ring of Honor over Jimmy. Probably behind the scenes, Jimmy has said some things about Jerry, that he's a know-it-all, that he doesn't really know football. I'm sure there's been back channels about what Jimmy has said about Jerry before. But ultimately, Jimmy's right. Jimmy's the football guy. Jimmy drafted all those dudes. Jimmy coached all those dudes. And when he left, it immediately fell apart, never to be put back together again. It tortures Jerry, tortures him. And yet the inability to step back and go, you know what? I don't know this. And we need football people that do. And the football people do it. And then I will reap the benefits. He can't. Because if he doesn't win one without his fingerprints on it to prove that the first three also were because of him, he's got nothing. He's not known as a great energy broker, a great advertising mind, a great oil man, as much as he's known as the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And he cannot shake this. That's his value. That's his importance. That's why he matters. He's the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, and he doesn't know football. And it kills him. It kills him every single day. The dude can squeeze $1 out of a rock, but he cannot win a Super Bowl. You could have all the money in the world. You can still be tortured every day of your life, and this is what is happening. He can't even give Jimmy Johnson the Ring of Honor. He can't even bring himself to do that. He's got to do it on his time. There's plenty of other things. I'll do it on my time. Because that's what, your honor, your award. You get to bestow this. This is for the franchise. This is for the history. This is for the fans. You think Michael Irvin loves Jimmy or Jerry more? You think Troy Aikman respects Jimmy or Jerry more? I think Emmett, all those guys love Jimmy. They say nice things about Jerry because Jerry paid them a lot of money and makes them celebrities within that organization, welcomes them back and gives them suites and yada, yada, yada. But they're loyal to Jimmy because they know Jimmy was the one that made them champions and Hall of Famers. Kills Jerry. Kills him every single day. Tortured. A tortured soul. And above anything, I feel bad for Cowboys fans because it will not change until he croaks. And more than that, he's going to He's going to leave this earth without the validation. And it should have never been about that. And you just feel bad for him because you could have everything in the world, and yet look at how petty you could be at 79 going on 80. Imagine being an 80-year-old man and harboring such ridiculous pettiness at this point in time. Your franchise is worth $7 billion, and you are such a child emotionally that you can't put in a 2-time Super Bowl coach of the Ring of Honor on time. You got to make him wait for you. Like a meeting is set up and you don't answer the door or the phone for 15 minutes to make sure you have the power of that guy waiting for you. That's what he's doing at 80 years old. It's childish, it's pathetic, and it's sad. It's sad that Jerry Jones is still this petty. Gain some perspective, dude. You're 80 years old. You ain't got much longer. Get over it, put him in. Bygones be bygones, and appreciate the time that you had. Sad. Sad old dude. Just is. Jerry Jones is a sad old man.